This video explores what truly happens when a narcissist senses that their grip on you is slipping, when you're no longer interested in feeding their endless need for control, affirmation, and dominance. It speaks to the confusion, exhaustion, and pain that so many silently carry. At the same time, it offers a powerful lens for reclaiming clarity and peace, more than just information. These words aim to be a mirror for validation and a map toward emotional liberation. Living with or loving a narcissist slowly teaches the mind to tolerate what should never feel normal. There's a quiet unraveling that happens inside, a slow burn of dignity, drained over time through criticism, gaslighting, silence, or manipulation. The day you begin to feel indifferent, the day you feel nothing at all, is not the day everything fell apart. It is the day everything starts to make sense. The hidden dependency of narcissists. Narcissists are not just demanding. They are deeply dependent, emotionally, psychologically, and often socially. But their dependency doesn't come in the form of vulnerability or healthy need. It comes masked as superiority, dominance, and control. Beneath their arrogance lies an unfillable void, one that requires constant feeding. This need shows up in subtle and overt ways. The hunger for admiration, the intolerance for disagreement, the jealousy over your attention, and the desperate attempts to script how you should think, feel, and behave. You were never seen as a separate person with your own mind and needs. You were cast in a role, expected to affirm, support, and submit. Your boundaries were not just ignored. They were rewritten to fit a version of reality where only one person is allowed to matter. The exhaustion that becomes clarity. Being in a relationship with a narcissist slowly wears down even the strongest spirit. In the beginning, it may have felt exciting, magnetic, even ideal, but over time, the same person who once praised you begins to pick you apart. Affection turns to tension, kindness turns to control. Conversations become circular traps where logic is twisted, and emotions are used as weapons. What follows is a deep, chronic fatigue, not just physical, but emotional. You begin to feel like you're constantly explaining, constantly fixing, constantly doubting yourself. Eventually, the question isn't how to make this work anymore. The question becomes, why am I still here? When interest fades, it's not because of failure. It's because of truth. It's because the soul can only stay in survival mode for so long before it seeks a way out. This disinterest is not weakness. It is awareness. How narcissists react when they lose control. When a narcissist senses you are no longer interested, they rarely go quietly. To them, your disinterest is not just rejection, it's humiliation. They interpret it as a threat to their self-image, which often triggers a cascade of manipulative responses. What follows is often retaliation, masked as concern, guilt disguised as love, and blame framed as truth. They may try to win you back through grand gestures or tearful apologies, but only when they believe their control is slipping. Once secure again, the cycle resumes. In more severe cases, they shift into attack mode, smearing your character, playing the victim, accusing you of abandonment or selfishness. Every tactic is designed to pull you back into their web, not out of love, but out of need. Their identity depends on having someone to mirror their superiority and absorb their flaws. What looks like love is often a performance. What feels like punishment is often a cover for fear. Narcissists cannot tolerate emotional independence from those they once controlled, and when they no longer hold power over you, they often react as if they're being destroyed. The reality behind the rage and the blame. One of the most painful realizations in disengaging from a narcissist is that fairness will not be part of the goodbye. You will likely be painted as the cold one, the betrayer, the ungrateful partner, friend, or family member. The narrative they build is not grounded in truth, but in the protection of their ego. Even if you were patient, empathetic, and forgiving for far too long, none of that will be remembered. What will be remembered is that you stopped feeding the fantasy. This is the point where many people return to the relationship, not because they want to, but because they feel guilty. But guilt is a weapon in the narcissist's hands. It is shaped and aimed carefully. It makes you doubt what you know. It makes you question if leaving was cruel, even when staying was unbearable. But guilt is not always a signal of wrongdoing. Sometimes it's a sign that you're finally doing something different, something right. Why leaving feels wrong, even when it's right. Detaching from a narcissist often feels unnatural because the relationship has taught you that love equals sacrifice, silence, or servitude. You've been conditioned to believe that your discomfort is a sign of weakness or selfishness. The truth is, your discomfort was always wisdom trying to speak. It is common to grieve the relationship, not for what it was, but for what it should have been. The potential, the hope, the good moments, all of it becomes a haunting echo that keeps you in emotional limbo. But love that asks you to shrink, to stay silent, or to suffer is not love. Walking away does not mean giving up on someone. It means choosing not to give up on yourself. The empowerment in choosing disinterest. There is power in disinterest, not the kind that comes from anger or revenge, but the kind that comes from quiet clarity, when you simply no longer wish to participate in the performance. Disinterest does not mean apathy. It means peace. It means the games no longer work. The control no longer seduces. The chaos no longer confuses. This is not the moment to explain yourself again, to defend your reasons, or to absorb more blame. This is the moment to hold your ground, not out of defiance, but out of deep respect for your own humanity. You owe no one your emotional energy, your silence, or your continued suffering. You do not need to prove your worth by enduring more than you should. Walking away is not weakness. It is wisdom. What healthy relationships actually feel like. In healthy relationships, differences are expected, and imperfections are embraced. Trust is not earned through submission, but through honesty. Love is not given as a reward for compliance, but as a recognition of mutual respect. In those spaces, conflict becomes a conversation, not a war. Boundaries are honored, not punished. You are allowed to evolve, to change your mind, to say no, without fear of retaliation. These relationships build you up, not break you down. They help you see more of who you are, not less. They give you room to breathe. Stepping into healing and wholeness. Leaving a narcissistic relationship is not the end of the story. It's the beginning of a different one. Healing does not happen overnight, but it does begin the moment you honor what you feel. You may still hear their voice in your mind. You may still feel the pull of guilt or the echoes of blame, but with every step, that voice grows quieter. What grows louder is your own, your intuition, your values, your truth. Surround yourself with voices that remind you of your worth. Seek spaces, in therapy, in friendship, in solitude, where your healing is not only allowed, but celebrated. Let your story be rewritten, not by the trauma endured, but by the dignity reclaimed, becoming the keeper of your peace. It takes strength to love someone who cannot love in return, but it takes even greater strength to finally let go. Choosing peace over chaos, clarity over confusion, and self-respect over survival is not abandonment. It is liberation. The narcissist may never understand why you left. They may never acknowledge the damage caused. But understanding was never the requirement. The only requirement is your decision to walk away. Not with bitterness, but with freedom. Keep your dignity. Choose your peace, and let that be the final word.